Hello then, folks. Welcome back to an episode of Citie Skylines with me, Dr. Benji FM. Good to see you. I always had FM on there. So natural for me over the years to just say FM. I can't help it. I can't help myself. I've been Football Manager YouTuber for too long, it seems. But you can see, look, it's looking pretty now, isn't it? It's getting prettier by the time. We need to go back into viewing it at night. Maybe we'll do that at the end of the episode if I remember. But yeah, I think it's looking good. And areas are starting to build out. There's sounds. Did you hear the sounds there of the city? As you go through, look, especially as you play, look. You can hear the sounds of the city as you go through towards the Midtown area. It looks quite futuristic around some of these parts, don't you think? As we go down one of the avenues, you'll see Central Park to the left. The football stadium's in there as well. We're basically doing tours here. There is actually a button to press. There's no game happening right now. There's a button to press down here, which gives you like a cinematic camera that just gives you angles of obviously things we've already built out. So that's a section of Central Park, I believe. What's the next one going to be? Suddenly I'm having to do no work here as it gives me another one. Oh, I mean, it's gone to the Midtown area and just stopped. I don't know if it just can't go any further. Maybe it's blocked by some of the high-rise buildings. I'm not too sure. Where's the next? I've never seen that happen before. Here we are. Another one. I don't know where that is. I assume it's down maybe towards the Greenwich area, Chelsea, somewhere around there. Anyway, let's not get bogged down in that. Last episode, for those that remember, we were building our industry out as much as humanly possible. We need to produce a lot more resources to continue to make that happen. We're having a few issues though, it must be said. The traffic coming in is, if we're not too careful at least, it's going to start to build up a lot quicker. We'll go into ×3 speed as we make our way towards 60,000 and our first airport can be built in. We've waited a long time for it. It's going to be LaGuardia. We've talked about it loads already. It's going to be just there, and it's going to be the first airport with some really nice links as well, because we've been saving this area for the airport so we can eventually begin to build around it. But right now, it's been going almost as planned. Jersey City as well down here has started to build out a little bit. Oh yeah, I mentioned this last episode and just forgot to do anything about it. We need some garbage disposal units. We'll do them sort of in between. I'm going to do a couple of them and a recycle centre bang in the middle. So it's going to be a lot of, that might be a lot of carnage around there. It's not great from me, if I'm honest. That might have to move at some point. I don't think that's going to be able to stay there. As I lazily just add water as well. It's been shambolic from me. After weeks of doing it so well, I decided to just stick it in wherever. You're sick, a lot of you. Just dirty minds. This happened before, you're doing it again. I'm just thinking if we can start to build out maybe in these areas or these areas. We've got a few more things to unlock. If you go to this, obviously the blacked out things are things to come. So the pulp mill, something we don't have yet. The engineered wood plant we don't have yet. The wood chip storage we don't have yet. There's a few more there as well. Some large tree sapling fields, as well as a few other bits and pieces. Forest maintenance building. So yeah, still lots to work on. That reminds me actually, we might want to put in another park maintenance building up towards this side. We will do. I was really hoping it would fit in there. It won't. But I'm thinking there. I mean, it's in the trees almost, isn't it? Well, another building we've not talked about yet, actually, that I don't think I've even used yet, is this building. It's the road maintenance depot. The condition of my roads, you can see there, red is normal, but we can boost them by putting in these road maintenance depots. Now, it looks a little bit like Pac-Man when you put them in. So if you've never done this before, enjoy this because it is quite fun to do, I'm not going to lie. We'll just pop one in there, and I'm going to just put them in spaces to keep these roads nicely boosted. You'll see in a moment the effect they have when I zoom out, okay? So just hold your horses. I'm putting them literally everywhere for mass coverage. This is daft. But yeah, I'm excited because I know what happens. You can see that it creates green roads where they start to... Oh no, I've messed this up. Where is it? Oh no, goodness, there. Yeah, road maintenance. So you can see these little purple cars. They cover the roads, look. And they just all sort of do it. You can see they're going from red to green over a period of time. It's like watching an episode of Ready, Steady, Cook, viewers. That's right. Are you what is it, green pepper or a red tomato? Flip over your boards now. Niche British references. I realise if you're not from England or over the age of maybe 18 or like 23, you probably don't even know what I was Ready, Steady, Cook. I don't know how culturally aware people are of Ready, Steady, Cook. When I was younger, that was like a go-to programme. Ainsley Harriott, Fern Britton, Phil Vickery. They were all on that. There was a guy called, I think it was called, I want to call him John Turner, I think he was called. And James Martin, he did it as well. They were all on it. They were loving it. I think even I'm just going into chef talk. I'm going to stop myself and probably just do this forever. When I was younger, though, I've never really talked about this. When I was younger, this could be a good topic of what I always thought I was going to be when I was younger. Maybe, that could be our comment question of the day, is when you were sort of 10 to 15, that period of your life where you don't really have any worries, but you're just thinking about what you're going to do when you're older and what's it going to be like to be an adult. What were your dreams and aspirations? Because mine was to be a chef. Like I thought for a period, once I knew that football maybe wasn't going to be an option towards like 15, 16 for me, picked up injuries and things like that prevented that yeah, I think going into at least hospitality in some respects. I worked at a hotel for a brief period of time, so I had that under my belt. Like I knew things I could be good at in the future. And again, it was an area I always thought I was going to go into. I always thought like the idea of being a hotelier and owning my own hotel and things like that were things I thought about a lot, but it never materialised. It wasn't something I pursued really seriously, but it was certainly a position or at least a career choice that I thought was open to me. My dad's got a background in tourism. He's worked locally in tourism he's worked in tourism for most of his adult life, to be fair, but like seriously with tourism around my local area for a long time. And it felt like a natural thing to maybe go into at some point. But it's funny how when you're younger, you have all these ideas. I think we talked about it in a previous episode of where you think you're going to be. I wrote a blog post on it on Patreon recently. Again, if you are a Patreon, you enjoy my thoughts. I've been writing sort of blog posts a couple of times a week, maybe once a week sometimes, just sort of outlining my thoughts and plans for series that I've got coming up and just my own individual thoughts. And people seem engaged by them. People seem to be enjoying them. I'm really enjoying this zoomed out thing I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing it, but it just looks, I don't know, this angle particularly just looks really great. I don't know, something about it is making me happy. How far are we from leveling this up? But to go back to the point I was making, it's interesting how you go through these like career ideas that you think you're going to do, and you feel like at a certain age you're going to have it all figured out, don't you? Like, I remember thinking, again, I don't know if you've talked about this before, but when I was sort of 16, 17, I thought, I've got it all figured out now, I know what's to come, and then everything changed just like that, you know? And then you don't know where you are, and plans become just the past very quickly, and you're trying to figure out like what the best route to take is, who to go to, who to turn to. And I spent a lot of time in sort of the wilderness, not knowing what to do and where to go. And it's only more recently in my life that I felt like, do you know what? Yeah, there's a bit of an idea here. I kind of know what's going on at last. But even now, I certainly have days and weeks where I'm making it up as I go along. I think lots of people live life in that fashion, though, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think if you think about life too much, sometimes it really can get you down. So being a bit open to just living is something I would certainly recommend. The one thing we've not talked about in this series yet, and I'm not avoiding the topic, it just hasn't ever come up and no one's asked in the comments or anything, but mental health is something I've spoken about on my own personal channel, my Football Manager channel. Spoke about it on my streaming quite a lot as well, and I've tweeted about it here and there too. And it's something that I think, as young males, I know that my audience is mainly male-led. I don't know how many females are watching this particular series. Maybe Citie Skylines has brought in any audience. So if you're out there, let me know. It's always interesting to see who's watching these episodes. But yeah, it's something that is so rarely talked about. And I think when I made a video on my main Football Manager channel with X amount of subscribers, it was. Some people said it was brave, and some people said it was a big thing to do. But actually, I think being able to talk about it when you are able to talk about it isn't particularly brave in that sense. I think I've always felt a responsibility to the people that watch me and the audience that watch me to try and be open as open as you can be. It's difficult on YouTube. You don't want to give too much away. You don't want to open yourself up to criticism and things like that, or at least you don't. Like, no one likes to be not necessarily criticised, but judged, isn't it? And you don't want to be open to too much judgment sometimes. So you have to play it by ear, I guess is the phrase. Speaking of which, we've gone up to level 4, so we can add a few more bits. Soft paper factory, let's get it in there. The forestry maintenance building and the engineered wood plant. We'll go and do that while we continue to talk about mental health, really. And I think I mentioned it in the video. For those that haven't seen it, hopefully I'll remember. I'll try and leave it in the description of the video, where I talk about people's relationship with mental health and how I do fear sometimes that what ends up happening is there's just sort of this endless noise that's attached to mental health, and it's not constructive and it's not helpful. And while I think people that should express things that have maybe been through it or struggled and can share their perspective, and that can be really healthy, not just for the person telling the story, but for the people that are struggling and looking out and reaching out to people to help them. Like, it's not always beneficial to just have people who haven't necessarily gone through it just saying things like, be aware of mental health. I think awareness of mental health isn't necessarily, I don't think that's necessarily the conversation anymore. I've gone for 3 of those as well. Am I pigging mind over here? I don't think that's the conversation. To me, at least, it's not the conversation anymore. Maybe that's very personal to me, because I think mental health, the coverage of mental health, actually, I think, has improved dramatically, especially in the last few years. It's definitely a talking point now, whereas before it was almost a taboo, wasn't it? It was a strange crossover in that. But there's this idea that it's become a bit of a fashion accessory, and I don't mean people saying they've got certain conditions. Again, you never know. I think what's sometimes overlooked and a judgment passed by people that maybe aren't going through it, or even are going through it and feel it's weird. It almost becomes, to some people, it was their thing, right? And well, for some people, you can be embarrassed by it, and you shouldn't be. Of course, you shouldn't be. Talking about it is the hardest thing to do. But this idea, for some people, it's become a bit of a fashion accessory, and like what people need to realise, and I think it takes people a long time to come to this realisation, actually, that, and I speak from experience, is that actually if those people who are almost using it as a fashion accessory are doing that, then the chances are, in their own way, they are suffering from something, because they feel the need to treat it in that way. And those people are just as important, and have just as, like, I've got a story just as important to tell, but it often has to be brought out in a different way. And it can be, again, it's not a topic that I ever thought, when I started this video, I did not think I was going to be talking about this. And then that's the way of these videos. I think they just sort of go down their own path, and all of a sudden here we are, sort of 10 minutes, 12 minutes in, just talking about this. But it's a conversation I do like to engage people with, even if you aren't going through something. I think you probably almost certainly know someone that is, who maybe hasn't made you aware of it at the moment, and it can be really challenging, especially as someone who's not going through it. I think to see people they care and like love go through it and not know how to react to it. I think that becomes almost a stigma behind it. As we hit 60,000, fantastic, an airport we built. We'll do that now, actually, as well. We've got like quite a while left of this episode to do, so we will do. And I guess from personal experience, my advice would just be there for those people. There's often telltale signs of not wanting to be involved as much, feeling like they're putting. Like, I guess I can only speak from my personal experience. I used to feel like people. I don't want to be a burden to anyone. That was a big thing for me. I didn't want to feel like people were just. I didn't want to ruin someone's day by being in the way or being moping around or things like this. But actually, like, to isolate yourself, I think is probably far worse. You've got to try and step out of your own comfort zone sometimes, and almost not force yourself, because you don't want to be pained doing it, but you have to be prepared to say, do you know what, I'm going to get out of this, or I'm going to fight it, and allow people to help you fight it as well at the same time. I feel like I'm getting a bit rambly here, but I think general gist of what I'm saying is probably quite clear. But maybe it's a topic we can go into more detail about. Again, when you don't plan this sort of discussion, sometimes it becomes noise, that I talked about ironically. But yeah, it's a conversation that's close to my heart. Something that I couldn't talk about for a long time, because when you're in it, like, the last thing you want to do is necessarily talk about it. But I certainly feel I'm someone that's moved away from being within it over time, and I've worked hard on myself, and there's still lots of things, of course, I'm not happy with. I think that goes for everyone again. And a phrase I used in the video that I made was that realising that a bad day doesn't mean a bad life was like a breakthrough moment for me. And that it was sort of post my time of like feeling very depressed and feeling very sad about things, was that I suddenly had this realisation of, you know what, like, so everyone has a bad day. It's not just me. I'm not just on my own fighting against this. And you see people on social media paint this picture of everything's great all the time, but then equally, I feel like, and maybe I speak from personal experience, I read my timeline on Twitter sometimes, and I see people that are really struggling, and you can tell that they're struggling, and it's part of their life journey to realise what's next, and that can be, again, going back to my own personal experience, like when I was told by a doctor, like a medical professional, oh, like you've got depression, man. And I went home and told my now fiancée girlfriend Ellie at the time and said, oh, you said I've got depression. And she looked at me very, very plainly and just said, oh yeah, I know. And that was a real moment for me of people around me are aware, and they didn't treat me any differently, and they just tried to help, and that was a real comfort to me. And it was just, I don't know, sometimes you forget that the people who aren't necessarily embroiled in it the same way you are living it are still there to listen and help and talk, and they're not going to shun you. Like, they're there to help you. And I think, again, that was a big realization for me, to know that I wasn't going to be just alone all the time, and I didn't have to be, and people were willing to, you know, be there for me. And if you're someone that's going through anything, I guess hopefully that would apply to you. And you have to be prepared to open up a little bit, and again, that can be really difficult when you're going through something, but it was something I had to learn to do. And it didn't actually, obviously it didn't just happen overnight. I didn't suddenly go, right, I'm going to be bubbly as anything now. It took me loads of times. I had probably had 10, 15 setbacks of, oh, I'm having a really good week, and then you end the week thinking, oh, not as good a week as you thought, Ben. It can be a real challenge, but yeah, hopefully my experience of being through it and coming out the other side is of benefit to people, and they can take something from it. But every situation is different. I'm not a trained professional in this sort of thing, so I'm just sort of, I think talking about your personal experience is the only way to go about it if you're not like a medical professional in that sense. And that's how it should be treated, and yeah, that's how I try and do things. Back to the game, viewers. As I'm sitting here just rambling away about all sorts. Hopefully this was coherent in some fashion and someone gained something from it. Otherwise, I can only apologise for uploading this. But yeah, the airport. I've built a base area of what I would like to build out with, but I'm going to wait until I've got one of these blocks here till I properly build all the way out and around. And but the airport, you can see already, is operating quite nicely. Planes are coming in, not necessarily really nice. They're sort of crashing into each other quite. Like, there's no decorum with these airports. These planes just do whatever they want, whenever they want. But you can see it fly off, look there. Loving life it is, the both of them. Can we follow it? How far can we follow it? This is oh my goodness me. We can follow it all over the... Okay, I've made an absolute mess of that. I mean, where are we? Where's it? Okay, we're back. Shambolic from me there, it really was. Oh yeah, we want this square. Have we got one to buy? We have. Oh, where do we go? I feel like our forest industry is doing really well. Is there anything required over here to build it up, or are we good? No, we actually are really good. We just need to produce a lot more of the resources. I mentioned before, I think it was your last episode, I mentioned the money that comes. But you can see now we're making a fine profit. Some weeks there, that's 6,000 profit on top of what we were making. Actually, in terms of the money, the economy, I've not really shown you this at all. So you can see from here, the income we're making on houses, 136,000. I don't know if that's yearly actually or weekly. I can only assume that's yearly based. 136,000, making a pretty penny off commercial buildings as well. Offices are looking good. Industry, not so much anymore, of course, but the other form of industry we've got at the moment, 3,700. So what we're lacking in the yellow sort of base industry, we're making up for now with industries, and we're going to pop in a few more industries in different places. Well, hopefully, like oil industry can be obviously very money inducing. So we'll do our best with those. Again, you can look at them in more detail on some of these panels. Campus-wise, we've not done that yet. I think a campus is something we've got to go for at some point, because they are really fun to do. Some of the buildings you get, you can build really like beautiful campuses. It might be the sort of thing that I pop in here actually, because it's very central, and I intend on building housing all around it. I think having a campus in this particular area, we've got a transport link here as well. I think that's where it's going to be. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to plan this now. By zoning a campus area, so I know that next time we do something, or at some point in the future at least, this is where I'd like my campus to be, just in their campus area. Might even end up being bigger, but yeah, like I say, the campus areas can be really, really interesting. Like you've got your different sports and things like that. Here you've got a science centre, you've got an art gallery you can pop in there, a technology museum, and again, all of these, you've got yourself an American football stadium, baseball park, athletics track, basketball arena, and an aquatic centre. So you've got all sorts you can play with. So we're gonna have to sort out a campus at some point. And again, maybe when we've built all the way around it, that might be the time to do it. Or alternatively, we could just sort of build it out and then eventually build out housing on this side. Yeah, I guess our next milestone is the big point of contention now. Now we've got 60,000, 75 is the next one, and after that, it's basically done. We've reached our max. But I think building out still, so we can build on every single square if we were to want to, will become our next goal. I think building out the initial area of the boroughs of New York, that's the plan. So we can obviously build out further towards there, almost in the road, like the road markings to a degree, and then down towards this side, Coney Island, to like doing an amusement park down there. I think could be a really cool idea. Just looking down here, actually, there's no traffic links or transport links that are really naturally into this area. So that might be something to consider. We've got obviously that road over there. JFK Airport will be in the distance over there too. And then Newark Airport we can put over on this side somewhere, over towards that direction. It's just occurred to me, actually, and then we'll wrap things up with this before we leave you all, is I think what we should do is pop in a couple of these metro stations that we've not yet delved into. So one can go there, one closer towards the actual industry, so people wouldn't have to travel in by car. So we can have one line go there, another connect up to there, and then maybe actually have another one that exists down this way, almost on the water's edge. Again, we're trying to do this to a sort of degree of realism. If we go to there and then build it around again, so that, and then have it go maybe this way. That's not going to quite work, but yeah, I know what I mean. We'll actually link this up now, so it'll go into there. Look, and then into there. Can I make it go a little further around? Maybe. No, I'm going to make it go straight back, so it reaches mainland Manhattan. But then we'll have this one here, actually, can go a little further in. So it'll skip that, it'll go to there, go to there, go to there, go to around 33rd Street for those local to New York. This is like almost a real train line that exists, kind of. It's one of the path rail lines that is actually connected to where I'll be travelling when I go in a couple of weeks. So there we are, look. I think we're good. I think I'm happy. Hopefully that should increase some of the areas now. I've not put any schools in here. We're talking about campuses. It's just occurred to me I've got no schooling in this area at all. We'll put the high school and the elementary school very close to each other. We'll also put in, I'm going to put this in here, the Institute of Creative Arts. I'm going to slide one of these in, maybe just there. It'll destroy some houses, but I actually think it's quite a good place to put it. So we will do. Could have put a train line in there, actually, looking at this rail line. It might have to go under and over there somewhere. But yeah, these areas look like they're going to start building out even more now, which is really promising. And again, units of industry, what are we at now? We're at the 9,200, so we're still 4,000 away from that levelling up even further. Now, I mentioned at the start of the episode, we're going to wrap things up with going back into night mode. I want to see what it looks like now. We've not done this for a while, so why not? I think it's gameplay, is it? Use the day-night cycle. And let's have a look here then, shall we? I could use dynamic weather, but we've not really looked at weather. Some of the water, I should say, some of the rain effects do look really cool. Maybe we'll have to use dynamic weather at some point. Now, of course, because we're using the day-night cycle, this is going to take quite a while to go into darkness. But what I'm going to do is just stick with it the whole time, and we'll watch as the shadows start to develop, and then it suddenly go into nighttime. But again, you've got to remember, it started off, at that roundabout towards Chinatown, Tribeca, and then we built out an entire New York area, and we've got like defined spots. I think at this point, if you looked at it without knowing what it was, you would be pretty certain of saying it's New York City, right? I feel like I've done a pretty good job. Like, again, I said episode 1, I'm not a City Skylines expert by any means, but I do really enjoy the game. I do get a lot out of the game. And yeah, hopefully it's been an enjoyable watch. Again, to see a few thousand people watch every single one of these is amazing to me. It really is like so pleasing to see people engaged in what we're doing. Yeah, I'll be honest, I never really expected it. So it's really, really nice to see some people engaged episode to episode. And obviously, the more frequent I am, the more people tend to watch. So yeah, I'll do my best to keep you updated with the build, as I just want to see some nighttime, please. I mean, we're above the clouds right now. Should we go a little bit closer in? You can see the airport at the top there. As at some point, it will all flick to darkness. I'm trying to look at some of the shadows. You can maybe see it just vaguely towards the bottom. You can see the shadow of the World Trade Center slowly go over Brooklyn. Can you see it? It's going towards where the boats go, towards the cargo area. The shadow's just about to go over there. I don't know if you can see it clearly on your screen, as well as I can, obviously, because of the way YouTube bit rates work. But you can see, all of a sudden, as the clouds continue to bellow, oh, look at that as it lights up. Oh, this game is pleasing. Let me tell you, that is beautiful to look at. As we go a little bit closer in now, shall we? And yeah, look, we're going through the clouds now. We have some really beautifully, really nicely lit areas now. Central Park with that football stadium in the middle, by the way. Oh, that is really, really pretty. You've got the boats as well travelling on the Hudson. It just looks really cool. I love how busy and energetic that central area looks. And down the bottom here in Jersey City now, it's come alive a little bit. You've got areas of Long Island over there. Oh, I just love loads of it. I just think it looks really nice. Central Park is nicely lit as well. I don't know what you think, viewers, but I'm getting happier and happier with it. It looks really good. Long may it continue. All right, tomorrow, I think what we'll do is we'll hopefully get the next level of industry. And then from there, we'll work towards maybe getting some more sporting arenas involved as the Northern Lights are back again, viewers. You'll love to see it. Right, then that is going to bring us to the end, though. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Again, if you're enjoying them, make sure you do drop a like on them. We're hitting around 200 likes every time, so get on all over that, and I'll see you for it. There's a queue on this bridge. Is it bad? It's fine. It looks pretty. All right, good night, everyone. Good night. It's night time. I've said good night. What am I doing? See you later. Have fun doing whatever.